President Kane, 6 members.
Thank you. Could you please all rise for a moment of silence? Please pray for anyone you know out there that has an illness. I know that we've just gotten over a tough winter, and hopefully everybody is on the road to recovery after a long, cold winter. Thank you. Return and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could you read the open meeting law? Yeah.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please read the first item on the agenda?
Yes, sir. Honoring the North Quincy High School school boys varsity basketball team.
I'm going to go right to our expert on this, Counselor Campbell.
I don't know about the expert on the North Quincy part, but Quincy part maybe. Great honor to have. We have a few things to get to tonight, and I'll make them meaningful, but hopefully on time, because it's a great honor for a lot of people who are here in this room right now. They work really hard to get to where they are. I want to start off by welcoming Kobe Nguyen. Kobe, come on up here, Kobe. Kobe actually, what was the final number? What was the final number? 1,000? 1,041 points for his career, which is 140 points more than Chris Walker scored in his entire high school career. It's the second time I used that one. Yay. 1,041 points. It's really a big deal. It's something, he's been a 4-year starter. He's someone who, if you're looking for someone to be a role model to the younger kids coming up and just show them about work ethic and hard work and just being a team player, he was always working. Anytime you drove by or you were in the gym, you saw him working out, dribbling, passing, shooting, every possible workout he could do, he did. And he was a leader all throughout. In this past year, he led the team to a 14-2 record. He had a 19-4 overall record. He had 34 points against Madison Park, where he tied a school record with 8 3-point field goals made. He had 27 points against Durfee, and all around was a tremendous kid, Patriot League All-Star. Really, anything that this kid wants to accomplish, I know he will. What's the plan for next? We're not sure on plans next year, so, but I wanted to congratulate Kobe on scoring his 1,000th point, and I know there's more great things to come. Okay, next up is the other 1,000-point scorer, Alyssa Hops. Alyssa, I have had the great privilege of watching all 4 years. She started as a freshman, and the moment that she walked onto the gym, she was special. And I think that her overall record, I'm going to do this off, I want to say was 70 wins over the course of your career, which is really unheard of in this day and age. I might be a little off there, but she has talk about being a role model for younger kids. My older daughter played with her when she was a senior. Alyssa was a sophomore, and I think she had 3 game winners that year at the buzzer. Pembroke, Hingham, Silver Lake. I know there's more. There's a few this year. I think there was a couple last year too. Clutch, I think didn't you beat North Quincy on North? No, never mind. I'm pretty sure that happened, though, at the buzzer. But Alyssa is an extraordinary athlete. She's an extraordinary student. She was an all-scholastic in volleyball, player of the year for her freshman, sophomore, and junior year at Quincy High School. She, I mean, really any type of award that she could receive, she did, and I couldn't be prouder of her. I feel like to my older daughter, she was that teammate that she loved to play with, and to my younger daughter, she is the role model that I hope that she aspires to be, because she's that kind of a player. She is tied for the all-time record, 1,348 points. Is that right, 48? 1346 for the 48, all-time. If I want to have her up, I'm going to give her this right now. We're going to have her sit for a second with her mom, and then we're going to do pictures at the end. But congratulations to Alyssa. And now to the team, North Quincy boys basketball. The Patriot League Division champs. They had a record of 14-2. They ended the year with a 19-4 overall record. Is that right, Kev? Yep. They had an incredible run, and it was exciting. Every time you went into that gym and watched them, it was like a clinic. It looked like the Globetrotters at times, with the ball in the air and dunking on really another level. So really excited for them, because last year I know that there was a rebuilding year this year, and you did a great job keeping them all together, keeping them focused in the right direction. And I think that there's bright things ahead for everybody. I don't want to go backwards, but I want to say that Alyssa will be attending and playing basketball at Babson College next year. That's a big deal. So I'm going to call up the players. If we could, we'll have them come up. We can kind of filter in over here, and then we'll go back here. We'll take a picture, and then we'll have individuals if we want with the council. Okay? All right, so why don't we start off with the coaches. I already introduced him, Kevin Barrett. I want to come down this side. Chuck O'Brien? Is Chuck here? Chuck O'Brien. And where's my boy Raymond? Raymond, hold it down, Stop and Shop. All right, excellent. All right. So let's go with Devin Tran. He's a captain in the Patriot League Fishing Division. Another captain, and the Sportsmanship, Patriot League Team Sportsmanship Award winner, Marquise Rodriguez Smith. He's clapping. Danny Wilton. Aiden Chen. Liam Ford. Giuseppe Tallarico. I was late. Eric De Lima. Brian Thong. Oshin Faherty. John Ganaku.
He's going to be good, that little kid.
And we are going to get into Ace Burris. Where's Ace? Ace was the Patriot League All-Star Yeah, Patriot League also this year. Congratulations to Ace. Another Patriot League All-Star, Lucas Short. Patriot League Team Scholar Athlete Award to Billy Kennedy. Let's see, you got a lot here, Aiden. I'm going to read it off of here. How's that? Patriot League Fisher Division MVP. Patriot Ledger, Boston Herald, All Scholastic, Fisher Division MVP, and I think that's about it. We got a few more, I'm sure, on the way. Aiden McGrath. And we already met him, but Captain Fisher Division, outstanding season for Patriot League All-Star, Kobe Nguyen. All right, I think that's it. So if we could just take a break and we'll take a quick pick.
Good. Before, I'd like to get some pearls of wisdom from Coach Barrett. I think he'd give the council some guidance on how to have a winning season.
I don't know about that. I just want to express my gratitude and thanks for you having us here tonight. We really appreciate the honor. Truly is a true honor to be here, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much on behalf of the entire team. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach. And I know a few of my colleagues might want to comment. I'm going to recognize Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to say, Coach Barrett, been following you for many, many years, coaching this program. This particular season was very exciting to watch this team. You have your height, obviously. You have speed. People could throw the three-pointer up. Great defense. You had everything. So it was very exciting to watch you guys play. Kobe, it's really going to miss you for the last 4 years, just watching you play and be a leader out there for all your different teammates over the years, as well as Alyssa over at Quincy High School. We're really going to miss watching you with Coach Campbell's daughter at one point. Usually it's Coach Campbell, Counselor Campbell, Counselor McCarthy, and myself at these games watching you guys. So we really, really enjoyed watching you, and I continue success, Coach Barrett, with next year. I know you'll find some fine-tuning and some players, and they'll come up and they'll make a difference. So thank you.
And I know that the North Quincy team is here in quantity, but Alyssa's here in quality, representing Quincy High. So very good. We'll take a brief recess and we'll take a picture in the well. Thank you. I'd like to bring the council meeting back in session. Madam Clerk, the next item.
Number 1, presentation of the MBTA update, Mayor Koch.
Good evening, Mayor Koch.
Good evening, Mr. Acting President.
Yes, acting. Before the mayor gets started, I just know that he has been so involved in a lot of items in the city. And, he's been the representative, Quincy's rep on the MBTA Advisory Board, the advocacy group that represents the interests of 172 cities and towns in Massachusetts with some form of T service. He was voted by his colleagues as chairman of the advisory board in 2012 and has served in that position for the last 13 years. In 2021, the legislation authored by then Governor Charlie Baker created a new board of directors to oversee the T, and the legislation required that the board include a member from the advisory board. Mayor Koch was elected almost unanimously, by his peers to serve on the board. Boston had abstained. The same legislation called for a member of the T board to sit on the Department of Transportation Board of Directors. So Mayor Koch was appointed by Governor Baker to the DOT board and reappointed by Governor Maura Healey last year. So on top of all the duties as a mayor, he likes to add in extracurricular duties just to keep himself busy. So with that, I will turn it over to Mayor Koch.
Thank you, Council. Good evening, members of the City Council. Thought it would be a good idea to give a little update to the council and, for that matter, the public in Quincy. The T has been in the news quite a bit over the last couple of years, and fortunately, it's going in the right direction. A lot more positive stories now than there were a few years ago. Little history, the MBTA came to Quincy and it was opened in 1971, North Quincy, Wellison, and Quincy Center. Prior to that, the city's manufacturing base had been leaving, heading to the south for cheaper labor. So we've seen over the years the demise of the shipyard, Pneumatic Scale, Mathewson Corporation, all the foundries, and so forth. And the MBTA, in my opinion, is what really saved the city and created that transition into the financial sector and the service industry. When the North Quincy T station opened up, State Street South opened up shortly after that. State Street South is a huge employer, big taxpayer. So the MBTA was huge in this city's transition. Obviously, our proximity to Boston, our waterfront, but the transportation is key. And I want to mention a couple of our folks that served in this body who were crucial to that. Jim McIntyre was a state rep, became state senator and mayor. And when he was mayor and state senator, he was also chairman of transportation. Walter Hannon was a state rep, and he was a Republican. The governor was a Republican. So McIntyre gets a lot of credit, but Walter was there swinging away from the Republican side at the time. So at early 60s, mid-60s, there was a question on the ballot from the voters of Quincy. It went 70-30 against the MBTA coming to Quincy. Obviously, it was non-binding. But I think everybody would agree, looking back, that it was the right move and really what saved the city economically, which continues to help us grow today. I know that, as I mentioned, there's been a lot of stories of things. I think one of the big changes really was when Governor Baker took the helm and he created the Fiscal Control Board and then new capital investments. And, we were looking at 50 years of neglect. Red Line came to Quincy, but we were still using some of the original cars that we hear. So I used to get into battles with some of my colleagues at the state level about expansion, and I said we should be fixing things before we expand. But fortunately, since that time, Governor Healey has really stepped it up with the state legislature, and there's huge investment going on as we speak. And I got to give credit, I think for two reasons, the governor and the state legislature is doing this. One is they recognize the economic engine the MBTA is to this region. It is enormous, the impact it has on getting people to and from work and school. It's the oldest subway system, by the way, in the country. Park Street Station is the oldest station. But the investment that was needed is now being made. That's number one. Two is, The governor appointed a very capable and able general manager. I think that Philip Eng's appointment, bringing his background and credibility and integrity to this position, really changed the game quite a bit. I mean, it was refreshing to see a general manager stand before reporters and say, this is what happened, this is what we need to do to fix it, and this is how long it's going to take. No spin, no BS, just a doer getting it done. And his background in New York really gave him the chops, if you will. He's the first railroad guy we've had in a long time to run the railroad. Imagine that. So I think the credibility that he brings has been huge to the legislature stepping up, as well as Governor Healy doing the same. So the budget season is, as you know, is ongoing in Beacon Hills. So the numbers aren't finalized, but July 1st, the T was facing a $700 million shortfall in operating budget. The governor and legislature have all indicated they're going to step up and take care of that gap. So that, the debt service, as well as the continued investment in the T is huge. So long day coming, long time coming, but we're making good progress. Well, what does that mean to Quincy? As we know, there's the red line cars have been talked about for some time to be replaced. And it's a little tricky right now because of the whole tariff atmosphere. It may have an effect a little bit because the cars are coming from China and then being assembled in Springfield. So the parts are coming, the shells are coming from China, and then there's a manufacturer and a facility in Springfield. That was a law created by Congress. They had to be put together here. We've had 40 cars delivered to date. There's several dozen more on the way. We're getting roughly 2 cars, 2 pairs a month. So it would take probably till 2027 till the entire fleet is completely replaced. So the red line is, as you know, is huge. I also give another shout out to Walter Hannon because the Quincy Adams Station was was opened in 1983. Walter was a big advocate for that, and some argue that's why he lost the election when he did. The people of South Quincy were not happy about it. But he saw what it would do to Crown Colony. Crown Colony, some may remember, it was an old construction site, sand and gravel pits, and he could see that site would really be developed into something that we'd all be proud of, and it has. And I don't know that wouldn't have been as successful had it not been for the Quincy Adams Station. So I think that's important to mention. So the red line is improved. We're doing now 50 miles an hour. It used to be 40 miles an hour. All the slow zones are gone across the entire system. We've had system, obviously, upgrades, the track upgrades. All aspects of it have been upgraded, which allows now smooth service. And we're seeing the uptick back, people coming back to the T. They know it's dependable now, it's efficient, and the wait times are much shorter. It's moving very, very well. You may have read that about the ferry. Philip Eng purchased 2 ferry boats from New York, and those have been rebuilt a little bit and fashioned to serve the people of the Boston area. One of those ferries is dedicated to Quincy, Mass. I know that we've had the pilot program. You've all seen that, working with Winthrop over the years, back and forth. But this will be a dedicated ferry to Quincy. There'll be more times. It'll be more dependable. It has more seats than the old one. And from Memorial Day right through Columbus Day, there'll be weekend trips as well, which is really a first. So we're really excited about the future of that. As you all know, we announced a few months back the rebuilding of the pier out at Marina Bay to accommodate the ferries and to make that transition from the parking lot to the ferry boat that much easier, particularly those folks that may have some physical challenges. So there's a new director just in charge of the ferry, so I think the ferry has a good future. Water transportation, Boston Harbor is a key, and we're making some great progress. I did want to mention the bus service as well. There's roughly in the morning, just about 7,000 people put their foot onto an MBTA bus here in the city, and a little over 7,000 disembark at the end of the day as well. We've got 13 routes, and it serves a lot of our folks that, again, try to get to work each and every day. So the bus route is important. The T is looking at restructuring how those routes are done, and well, there'll be more to report on that coming down the road. I did want to mention the facility on Bergen Parkway. You've seen it. I mean, it's massive. That is the new barn that will be servicing roughly 90 buses that service directly Quincy. It'll be built to hold 120 buses in total. They'll all be electric buses. It's a massive project, a lot of work being done to get more power to the site because of the need of that. We expect that to be opened up in early 2027. That's been a long time coming. That's a $300 million project for the T, but it's been part of the commitment on the whole environment. We've all been behind a diesel bus in the summertime on a hot day, and you air condition and sucking those fumes in. So this will be a nice change for the environment here in our city. So looking forward to that. We saw the Wollaston Station just a few years ago get rebuilt for about $60 million. It was the last one on the red line that did not meet ADA. It now meets the ADA requirements. We're all happy with the Wollaston Station, and it was the first time the team made a decision, and we all agreed with it, and I know our state legislatures were on board with it, in that we shut the station down to get it done more quickly and substitute the buses. It would have taken years to get that done had we not done that. So Wollaston looks great. Quincy Adams is just about finished with their upgrades, another $60 million project, just finishing up on the elevators at this point. A lot of crucial improvements to the garage. They do degrade over time, and they're addressing that as well. The last piece is really the Quincy Center Station. As many of you know, we had a garage on top of that station that was condemned for years. The T finally, through persuasion, removed the garage, and now we're in a position to redevelop this area. The T did an RFP a few years back, and a developer was designated, but it came to light that they thought maybe a few improvements by the developer could fix the station, but that's not the case. So Speaker Mariano led the effort, supported by his colleagues, and Senator Keene on the Senate side, to put $100 million aside for the actual rebuilding of that station. It's in the design phase now. We'll be back at some point to share the plans, but I can tell you conceptually, it's going to be a drastic change. The buses and Kiss and Ride will all go to the Bergen Parkway side. There'll be a new facility pulling off the road for the buses and the Kiss and Ride. It'll ease up the congestion on this side and then allow us to move forward with developing on this site of the station being the Hancock Street entrance. So that's exciting, and we're looking forward to that. It will be part of a nice new TOD, transportation-oriented development. So the other piece is the old bus barn on Hancock Street, which was there servicing a different company way back when. The T took it over, and it's in tough shape. It doesn't meet any of the codes, and it wouldn't be big enough for the new buses, the electric buses. That's why they made the decision to take the old low site and purchase that site to create this new facility. The arrangement we have with the T is that the T will remove the old bus barn. That land will be turned over to the city of Quincy, and we will work with the state on the cleanup of that site. It's my intention that we do something that would augment the stadium, be recreational related, perhaps some educational relation services as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but that is the plan as I stand here now. I know there was some folks out there that thought that it could be housing, could be this, could be that. It's stadium's part of the 80-acre Marymount Park, and we think that we'll be able to do something pretty special there to augment for our kids and our students and our student athletes. So I think that's going to be an exciting project down the road. We're already trying to raise private funding for that. Again, more to report at a later date. That's generally the summary, if you will, of what's going on with the T. I do chair the subcommittee on workforce development on the T, and we had a tough time the last couple of years filling positions. We were down hundreds and hundreds of bus drivers. We were down 70 police officers, but we're back up to a place where we can manage the day-to-day operation and have all the routes filled. So we're grateful for that. A lot of changes had to be made, and of course the salaries had to be increased because of the marketplace we're in to attract good people. So I serve on that subcommittee, and on the MassDOT side, I serve on the Capital Committee, and we look at projects all across the Commonwealth related to roads and transportation needs. So it's a pleasure to do that. I've never been a believer in being a bomb tosser. I think we should be part of the solution, and I'm grateful that both governors have seen confidence in me that we can contribute. We do have every mode of transportation here. You know, we have the Red Line, we have the buses, we have the commuter rail, and now we have the continued steady ferry service. So I think it's important that we recognize that. If we didn't, to sum up, if we did not have the Red Line, we wouldn't see the development we have today. Never mind the history of the development, but much of the residential development that we're doing along the spine, along the tracks, is due to the proximity of public transportation. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chair recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Acting President. Mayor, it's very good to see you in here tonight. Thank you for coming in with the update. You're talking about different, benchmarks or milestones throughout the MBTA. Just coming on here since 2016, being through some of these constructions, these revitalizations. I remember back in 2019, we did the revitalization of the Wallaston T Station where the ADA compliant came in, and it was a nice ribbon cutting that we did in September 9th of 2019. It was pre-COVID. I thought it was a great move, and we had to obviously shut it down. We had a lot of discussions in different places. And then we went over, obviously, to North Quincy T Station with the Abbey, and I remember you battled to get six votes with the air rights for the Abbey. It was a 6-3 vote up here with the city council originally then, and I know you needed a supermajority. But look at what it's become today. We've put in like targets and all these different things up in the northern side and now in the Wallaston. And obviously you talk a little bit about Quincy Center coming in and the progress that we've done. Basically, and not to ever forget the gateway into Quincy, which is right here at the Hancock Adams Common. And your vision, you came to the council and said, I have something that's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a great gateway coming into Quincy Center. And now you're talking about doing the redevelopment, obviously, at Quincy Center, which will be great, coming into Hancock Adams Common, which has been a grand slam, to be honest with you, with all the different things that we've done outside here. Basically, my question to you, Mayor, is, and maybe it's obviously post-COVID. How is the transition from the Baker administration to the Healy administration, if any, and how is that tailor into what we do today?
I think the transition for the MBTA has been a smooth one. I think everybody recognized, if you will, I think the Baker administration did some of the legwork and built the foundation. The Healy administration has taken the baton and taken it to a whole new level. The recognition of the need for upgrades, improvements, because people depend on that transportation every day. And we saw post-COVID, it wasn't only people not going to work because of COVID, but people couldn't depend on it. It was breaking down constantly, the slow zones, so we saw an increase in the vehicular traffic. That is changing. We've seen the numbers going up every day. So the transition was really fairly smooth. The governor gets the pick on the general manager, and I think this governor did a nice job with Philip Bang.
I appreciate you coming in tonight. Lastly, the former Lowe's site, which is going to be the electric buses, when do you think that's going to be available to open? And obviously, the other bus yard being conversion with what we can do with the green space / open space that we got. When do you think that will open down at the Lowe's site?
They're looking at first quarter of 2027 to get into the new facility. I didn't mention that the T has purchased a building at 200 Newport Ave Extension, the old Josiah Quincy building, and they bought that for Operations Control Center, and that comes with a garage. So when I mentioned the bond coming back to Quincy, I articulated the argument they owed us that based on taking that building off the tax rolls. So, but yeah, we're looking at the first quarter of 2027, barring any other crazy issues.
I appreciate you coming in tonight, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Chair recognizes Councilor Liang.
Thank you, Councilor. Good evening, Mayor. I echo my colleague's sentiment and just thank you for taking the time to come in tonight to walk us through this update. Okay, no problem. No problem. I grew up, right, taking the 211 over to North Quincy and heading into town to go out with friends. And now I'm one of the 7,000 residents who continue to be on the bus to take the train into work. And it's a 10-mile commute. And even though it takes me an hour to drive and an hour and a half with public transit's more reliable, right? Like I know exactly when the bus and the train are going to get in. I know that when the red line's down, the commuter rail's coming in a reliable like time frame as well. And so, I just am grateful because I know it's not a mistake that Quincy gets improvements the way that we do with your presence on this committee, right? And that doesn't come easily. I know it comes with a lot of hard work with what you do to elevate the profile of the city and the relationships that you build. And so I'm very selfish when it comes to Quincy, and I take a lot of pride knowing that we have you in a leadership position with, a station and obviously a system that we rely so heavily on. You had mentioned it briefly, but I had a question about the public safety aspect of folks commuting, right? I know now almost 5 years ago when we started having a spike, unfortunately, in violent situations, that the Quincy police stepped up immediately, right, consistently, and that brought me a lot of relief in commuting. But I also know that we had to do that because there was a shortage with transit police officers, not to their fault or anything like that. It was just simply just a shortage, right, of folks who were there. So Quincy Police, I know, has stepped up and continues to step up. But I'm just wondering, with the changes, if there's also going to be any relief with additional transit police officers just to relieve our police officers.
We've actually seen the addition of 70 officers over the last year and a half. Back to some of those incidents, they were down a number. They didn't want to advertise that because there's an invitation for criminals. But the reality is the T had fallen behind all the cities and towns on their pay packages and benefits and so forth. So a lot of them were fleeing and going to cities and towns to become police officers. And we've changed that through the contract and made some upgrades. And they have been filling the slots. They're pretty much up to full at this point. So I think that automatically it was about a third we were down. So when you add that back into the mix, it does make a visible difference for riders. So we have a consistent presence here with Transit Police at the Quincy Center Station. And there's a very good relationship with our Quincy Police Department and the T. They talk regularly, there's training together. And on the public safety matter as well, I should say the fire department has a crucial role in all of these things and accidents. They train as well with the T, particularly with the third rail and all the challenges that you have around some of the incidents that happen. So I feel good. I feel much better about it today than when you talked about what happened a few years back.
That's great. That's great news. Thank you again for the update. And frankly, again, thank you again for representing Quincy, right? I think there's so much that we get above and beyond other cities and towns. And I'm not shy about claiming that. I'm not shy about being proud about that. And again, I think it does go back to having strong proactive leadership to make sure that we are in front of everyone, right? And making sure that we do have an opportunity to be first in mind for resources and opportunities. Again, that doesn't happen by mistake. And so, yeah, just really proud of the work that you've done. Really grateful for the work that you've done. And yeah, thank you again for being here.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Council.
Thank you, Counselor. Chair recognizes Counselor Devine.
Mayor Koch, thank you very much for the update. I appreciate it. Don't really have a question. I just wanted to, everything you said is pretty much coming to fruition. My daughter has been using the T, and when she started about a year and a half ago, it was very difficult. It was slow. She was complaining all the time. And just recently in this last semester, it's almost to, I don't want to say this, I don't want to jinx anything, but it's to perfection. I drive her every morning and drop her off at Quincy Adams. And, it's the app that they have works. It's almost to the second. So it's working really well. And I appreciate the fact that my daughter is in a better mood when I'm dropping her off at 6 in the morning. So thank you for all that hard work for the T and everybody else that's done everything. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to the good workers of the MBTA.
All set, Counselor? Counselor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your time tonight. I think it's a really great thing to have you as a representative on that board. Mainly because we do have so many avenues that or trains, the buses, and now the ferry. It's really important that we do have a representation there, and I appreciate all the work that does go into it. I can tell you, I hadn't taken the T in 25 years or so, and I dreaded it when I knew that I was going to be working in town a little bit, and now I don't know if I would ever drive in again. I'm from here to downtown Crossing in 20 minutes, and no headaches, no, once you adjust to the smell sometimes, it's not that bad. But and I remember hearing, I want to say it was one of the representatives from Boston said that they had confidence in Phil Ying, and, I really didn't believe it. I guess, we'd been said, yeah, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. It just never seemed to get better. But I knew that we had passed a milestone when at the State of the State, he got a standing ovation in the chamber during the governor's State of the State address. It was really something to see. It was really, really incredible. But as we kind of move, a couple of things you mentioned there, I love the idea of augmenting the stadium. That is awesome. And I think that it's a great extension, and I think that will be very, very much welcome. I'm curious about I'm sure it's in the infant stages of just the planning part, but on the Hancock Street shutting down, are you saying that the buses will not go through here anymore? They'll be going up on Bergen?
Yes, so essentially, the buses in and out come off of Hancock today.
Yep.
They'll go to the 4-lane Bergen Parkway, and there'll be a whole new platform built just for the buses and the kids and rides. So it'll be far more efficient, it'll be safer, people will be out of the weather, but it gets the congestion out of that corner across from Russell Park, and that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So we think that'll resolve that.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I hope that we do something positive in that, the space out here, and make it complement all that's going on in here. So, but thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Ash.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Mayor, thank you for the update. It's welcomed. It's good. I know I can probably speak for all my colleagues when these topics come up with our constituents and with the public. It's really good to have the high level, the deadlines, when things are expected to open, the progress. So thank you for that. I know we've discussed, at least in the past, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but most mayors or all mayors or town administrators have the opportunity to serve on the board, but very few actually act in the capacity that you do and exercise that option. And I think that we're lucky in this city to have you on the board and really in all of the details of these projects and advocating for the city and our 4 red line stops. My question is, with respect to the ferry boat service in Marina Bay and the demand there, it seems like it has great reception from the public. We'll hope that that's true when Memorial Day comes around and those routes are expanded and the times are expanded. My question is going to be ward specific and Quincy Point specific, and I was wondering if you could, when the last time that the Fore River Shipyard was revisited to bring that ferry service back. I don't recall the year that it closed, but I remember certainly there was some demand and a lot of usage out of the shipyard by where the Salem is now, not too long ago. So I didn't know if there was any discussions about that or if that had been looked at recently, and if you can tell me what that would look like.
Sure. The shipyard, there was a ferry that operated out of the T paid for. It was a private company that did it. And what had occurred down there was they had some major issues with the wharf, the safety of the wharf. It was collapsing underneath. The MBTA at the time, swimming in debt, made the decision not to do any improvements. In fact, at the time, they sold it. So that wharf was sold to Cashman and Company. That's part of, Cashman's part of the yard, as you know, Corker's the other portion of the yard. So the T no longer owns a platform, if you will, in the shipyard facility. I know that they're very happy with the ridership on the Hingham, and the beauty of the Marina Bay is it's the parking lot that's next to it provides 800 cars there. It was built for the Dare Island treatment plant at the time. All the workers are ferried over. So there is no plan, as I know it right now, to bring any ferry back to the Quincy shipyard.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Ash. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick comments on, all the positive MBTA items and locations. The renovation, North Quincy, Wollaston, as you mentioned, the bond, taking the bond back, which is way overdue, up on Hancock, and doing something with that down the road. As Councilor Campbell talked about the buses up on Bergen Parkway, being a Whitney Road resident, it gets ugly over there with the buses trying to come in and out, and to take that away and have them up on top on a new platform will just help Hancock Street tremendously down at those lights at Dimmock and Adams, Whitney. To follow just in on Councilor Ash's comments about the ferries, I know there's been a lot of work down at Squantum Point Park, and I know we're way overdue to have a state-of-the-art ferry service that hopefully will start to blossom. So is this, I guess, in your opinion, probably the beginning of us expanding from two? Are they saying, we look at 6 boats down the line or 4 boats down the line or other locations? As Councilor mentioned, the shipyard, I know that they don't have a good location down there for parking, but it really eliminated a lot of the Hingham, Weymouth, and Quincy on that end, dropping people off and getting out on the ferry. But is there any talk over there or am I too getting ahead of myself with the ferry service down in Squantum?
Well, I think this is the first major step by the T to commit to the ferry. There were commissions over the last several years that studied water transportation in Boston Harbor. Salem's were very successful, Hingham's were very successful, and everybody at the table believes that this will be successful. But you've got to give people ample times. You got to be there on a regular basis so people can depend on it and start using it on a regular basis. The schedule we've had with the old Winthrop Ferry just wasn't enough to really get any traction. We believe we will get some traction. To your comment about the improvements to Squantum Point Park, the improvements are to the pier. The park itself needs a lot of work, but as we all know, it's DCR property, not City of Quincy property. But we from time to time send our sweepers out there, and we combine with the T on the application to the federal government on the $4 million grant that we received. And I certainly want to thank Congressman Lynch and Senators Markey and Warren for their support that will allow this program to move forward, because the dock itself needed a lot of work. So we're in a good place, and I do think I do see it growing. When the T created a director just on water transportation, that was a great sign to all of us who believe in the water transportation of Boston Harbor. They're taking it seriously, and they're planning for it going forward.
Thank you. The other quick question was over here. I know we've hit all the T locations. I know this is really the last big one to get our arms around that. I know it's going to get a complete facial. Is there any talk of the MBTA police having a substation here, a transit, for the police to have more of a presence here when it's done? Did that ever come up?
They're essentially here all the time. I don't know what the philosophy is of the general manager as far as substations, but they're visible here. Anytime you come through here any day or night, you'll see a transit cruiser here, and they are in around the station. So their presence is here, whether there'll be a special substation or not. That will be up to the manager at the time.
Yeah. And I know if this changes, like I said, a facial, it'll be changed for the positive, and it'll clean it up.
It can only go up.
Yeah, it can only go up, right. We're good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Have a great evening.
Okay, next item on the agenda.
Number 2, 2025-049, ordinance adoption of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 58, municipal charges, liens, inspectional services department, and health department.
Lars, thank you for having me.
Hi, Molly.
How are you? So the order I have before you today, I am looking to add another tool in the collection toolbox to be able to lien various charges and fines that are accrued by some of the problem parcels that we see throughout the city of Quincy. So this will work in the same fashion as water liens. So essentially, an unpaid water bill at the end of the year is little l lien to the real estate bill. That gives us the ability to collect that as a potential tax lien should they not pay. So what we're looking at here is any uncollected fine. So I'm talking blighted properties. So I'm not going to name the address here, but this is kind of my flagship property that I'm looking at. It's an illegal boarding house. They have over $13,000 in unpaid fines put on by inspectional services. The fines we're talking about: illegally created spaces, illegally maintained safeguards, no fire detection, no stairways, no emergency egress. So these are $13,000 in fines. What we found was interesting, so Councilor Kane and I have been chatting about this particular parcel. They're current on their real estate taxes. And so I think they essentially know what they're looking at. The city can put a lien on if they don't pay their real estate. But there's really not a ton of recourse that we have as a municipality if they don't pay their fines. So inspectional services can absolutely take them to housing court, which is something that they do quite frequently. But I think we're collecting every day. Let us do what we're good at and let inspectional services continue to do what they're good at. So my request before you today is to give the City of Quincy and the Tax Collector Office the ability to lien these charges and fines that are accrued by some of these blighted properties onto the real estate tax bill.
Very good. Questions? Councilor Devine.
I was on vacation. I just got back. I'm just reading this now, and thank you very much. I think I am in inspectional services at least once a week.
Yeah.
And Ken Burke does a great job. But, you know, he said some people, they pay, and they pay their fines, but he's always chasing people, and it's a waste of time. And the fines sometimes aren't that big, and then we're running around spending more of our taxpayers' money chasing down these people that are knowingly taking advantage of this. So, great job. I'm 100% in support of this. This hopefully will make some of these people that are manipulating the system conform. So thank you for your
Yeah, thank you.
initiative.
And I hope so too, because I think you're spot on. I think if you're, and this is a really broad sweeping statement, but chances are if you have a blighted property such that you're accruing all these fines, you're probably not pulling permits to improve your property. So inspectional services can certainly deny a permit if you have outstanding fines, but you're probably not putting money into your property. So they don't have a ton of recourse in ways to collect the fines. And you're right, Ken does a phenomenal job, and we should let Ken continue to do what he's good at, and let the tax office continue to do what we're good at, which is collect some of these
Right.
fees.
I actually, now that you said that too, in my ward, everybody has blighted properties, but Ward 4 is very transitional. But we also have some absentee landlords, and they live outside the city. I have zero patience for these people that don't care about the appearance of our area, even though they are paying real estate tax and they've invested. They're not investing properly. I have a constituent that he just bought a 3-family, and he spent the last almost 4 years renovating it, working on it, and he's having issues with people that are doing exactly what you're saying in his neighborhood. So when somebody's an owner-occupier, you know, I understand, I have more patience with that, but when they live in another community and they're just using our area and they don't care how it looks, they don't come by and follow up, I do not like that at all. So this is going to be a great way to make sure that they follow what they
Yeah,
should be.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
I'd just like
Yeah.
to make a motion
Councilor
to,
Yang?
thank you. I'd just like to make a motion to approve, and thank you again for being so proactive in finding new ways to make sure that we're collecting all the fines that are out there, making sure that our books are balanced. I mean, you've, again, shown time and again, I think how creative you are in this position, above and beyond, and I'm just really appreciative of that.
Yeah,
So
thank you, and I appreciate you saying that. So.
Yeah, of course, I'm happy to make a motion to
So
approve.
motion, Councilor Yang, second by Councilor Campbell. On the motion, Councilor Ash.
McCarthy. Treasurer Smith, thank you very much for bringing this in. I'm actually surprised that this wasn't already on the books. So that was interesting to me when I read it, that I was under the impression these fines and fees that are assessed are included on, say, tax bills, or we are able to lien them. I was surprised that they weren't, just so folks at home know the process. We all, as especially, I'm sure, dare I say, maybe more than the at-large counselors, the ward counselors, we receive a number of communications about properties, whether it's overgrowth of bushes I can't see pulling out onto the main road, whether there's trash in the front yard, boarded up windows. There's a number of properties. We've discussed a few of them actually quite recently. And I can name all the addresses. I won't, of course, but I can see them in my head because this is what I think of, you know, at going through the emails and communications. So we reach out to Inspectional Services. Inspectional Services is Ken Burke. He goes by the property. He will see what's wrong, what can be assessed, if there are fines, if anything. He writes them a ticket. Sometimes the tickets get paid, sometimes they don't. Those add up. He does his best to go back every once in a while, see if the issue's been remedied. And oftentimes it's not. And the property owners, whether they be absentee landlords or people that live out of the city, out of the state, he then has to, his term is court intervention. I believe that means he has to file to collect these fines, largely not the best use of his time. And since you are in the business, and the tax office is in the business of collecting this money and these fines, I think it's great to have this on the books. I think, as I said, I'm surprised it wasn't already, so it's great to see it coming on. My only question would be is whether it is retroactive. So whether you're able to lien amounts that are outstanding right now.
So my goal, there's certainly properties that bubble up to the surface. Councilor Minton, you and I have chatted about, I think actually everybody on this body, we've chatted about a couple pain parcels. So yes, we absolutely, if there are outstanding fines, we can lien them after, assuming that this is passed, we can lien those. We'll develop a process. We'll work with Inspectional Services. Inspectional Services is the big one, but Health Department as well. They have a list of fines for properties that, same thing, unsanitary conditions that they're putting fines on, and people are just ignoring them. So we'll certainly work on a process. There's a very specific water lien process. There's a dollar amount. There's a time of year that we do it. There's a very clear guideline that we have for how we lien the water bills. My goal is to create something very similar, work with these departments and put a threshold. Maybe it's if they've gone unpaid for a year. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's a dollar amount. So I'll let Inspectional Services kind of guide what they would view as the pain parcels. But I'm with you. I'm chatting with Inspectional Services quite frequently. Chances are if it's bubbling up to be a problem with them, many times they're also tax delinquent, but what we're finding is not always. And so it's quite ironic to me that people are paying their taxes on time and they're current and they're Gold Star citizen, but when you really dig into the Inspectional Services, which is in another platform, which also adds to the challenge, that they have all these unpaid fines. There was a parcel, Councilor Minton and I were chatting about it, that they had unpaid fines in OpenGov, which is the Inspectional Services platform, but had overpaid their real estate. We were about to issue them a refund. So that's the kind of the communication that we're really lacking. I think this ordinance will be huge in linking those two together. So yes, the long-winded answer is my plan is for all unpaid fines to lien them onto the real estate bill. So it will be retroactive in the sense that if they're still outstanding, they are going to get liened.
If the fines are outstanding.
If the fines are
Whether
outstanding, correct.
they were assessed previously, of course.
Correct.
Because I can imagine if, say, it's a $50 fine and everything else is in good standing, it wouldn't be worth it for your office to be chasing people for $50, $100,
Yeah.
just because you'd be utilizing your staff and city resources. So it's good to hear that there'll be either a monetary thresholds, time period, and that you're able to use kind of the tax process and the water process already.
Yeah,
so.
and we'll let Inspectional Services really guide it. Maybe it's one ticket and we'll let that slide, and maybe
Yep.
it's multiple. So we'll work with them on guiding the rubric on how we would do it. But we really need this before we could do that.
Awesome, thank you.
Councilor DeBona?
Thank you, Mr. President. Molly, it's really good to see you in here tonight. It's happy to hear that you're working together with Inspectional Services and Health Department. Collaboration amongst departments is huge in the city. For many years, Jay Duca came in front of us about the Bright properties, and we were constantly going through it. Councilor McCarthy's ward, we had a ton of them, and we shaped them up. And now Ron Homlin has the helm. Me and Dave used to talk about it all the time offline, trust me. Getting back to the collaborations amongst the departments, do you have like a spreadsheet that you overview on a yearly basis? And if you are doing that, are you seeing it increase or decrease over time? Are you seeing these bills being paid, or do you see it going the other way where it's not, and that's why you're in front of us today?
So I think in my world for tax title, we've seen that decrease significantly. I think property owners are getting used to the fact that the city will take action if you aren't paying your taxes, or the city is looking to work with you. So I always tell people, I'm not coming into your home. So please give us a call if you're struggling with paying your taxes. So if you're watching at home, if you're struggling with paying your taxes, please give us a call. It's me that's answering. It is not the scary tax collecting like big bad wolf. It's me. And so I think having notes on a property, we log notes into Munis, our accounting software, and we'll make a note. So-and-so struggling with paying their taxes, recommended that they reach out to QCAP or other community partners, recommended that they speak with assessors to see if they're eligible for any of our programs. So we certainly, so that's my tagline for, yes, we would love to chat with people who are behind on their taxes. That being said, for the egregiously behind tax-paying properties, we've seen a big decrease in that. I think people are getting comfortable with the idea that the city is going to look at you and say, where's your tax payment? I need to pay teachers and firefighters, so I'm the tax collector, but I'm also the treasurer. So we really I need to make payroll every week, and I can't pay a firefighter if people aren't paying their taxes. So it's certainly something that we've been seeing a decrease in the tax delinquency, which has been really great. As in terms of the fines from inspectional services, I can't quite speak to that. I don't know enough about the historic trends, but my hope is maybe with something like this, I think the real egregious properties, that the blighted properties, the properties that are continuously a problem for the condition of the land, that they'll start to also realize that we are going to collect these fines and we're going to enforce it.
Last question, the non-owner occupied properties, for instance, they're landlords, and they don't live in the city of Quincy. Are you running into them not paying paying these fines? Maybe they live in New Hampshire or some other city or town across the Commonwealth. Are you running into those folks?
That's, I would say, maybe a majority, maybe 60% of the problems that we see are non-owner occupied. Yep. Or non-occupied at all. It's a vacant property. There's no water. So that I always find interesting. There's no running water. Nobody lives there. Nobody's paying the taxes. And it continues to accrue fines because no one's mowing the lawn. No one's taking out the trash. No one's protecting the property. So we see a lot of non-owner occupied in this realm.
Thank you for coming in tonight, Molly. I appreciate this, and I'm very happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions? Okay, we got a motion by Counselor Yang, second by Counselor Campbell. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Counselor Ash. Yes. Counselor Campbell. Yes. Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona. Yes. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. Yes. President Kane. 7 members.
Good.
Thank
All
you.
set. Thanks, Molly. The next item on the agenda is approval of previous meeting minutes. Motion to approve by Counselor DeBona, seconded by Counselor Ash. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Communications reports from the mayor and other city offices and city boards. City Clerk.
Yes, I do have a utility request to refer to Public Works Committee for scheduling and advertising. Grant a location, National Grid Gas, Penn Street at Bergen Parkway, MBTA bus maintenance. And also 2 traffic requests to refer to Ordinance Committee for Advertising, Ward 5. Councilor Minton, add handicap parking at 53 Spear Street. Ward 6, Councilor Harris, add handicap parking at 232 Billings Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, unfinished business and preceding meetings, we have none. Reports of committees, we have none. Presentation of petitions, memorials, and remonstrances. Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to bring my condolences and sadness to Ruth Norton that just passed away, 82 years old. Ruth began her professional journey right here after high school in the Federal Reserve Bank in Boston. Most notably, she served as a paraprofessional at Snug Harbor Community School in Quincy for over 20 years until her retirement. However, her most cherished role was that of the devoted mother of 3 children. Volunteerism, dedicated her time to various organizations, including Snug Harbor School and St. Boniface Church and the Germantown Neighborhood Center, until her health began to decline. She was also an active member of the Morrisett American Legion Auxiliary Post 294, where she held the position of chaplain. She was the beloved wife of the late Larry Lawrence Norton, with whom she shared 52 wonderful years of marriage before his passing on October 20th of 2020. Ruth is survived by her loving children, Pamela Norton and her partner, Glenn Hermanson, Michael Norton, which is at the DPW department, and his wife, Julie, all of Quincy, and Kevin Norton and his wife, Tara of Braintree. She was a cherished nana to her grandchildren, Mikey, Corbett, Shay, and Larry. She's also survived by her sister, Jacqueline Stewart of Colorado, as well as the late Reverend Raymond Steen, OMI, and Russell Leary and his wife, Ann of Quincy. Additionally, she preceded by her brothers, Joseph Steen and his wife, Nancy, and Patricia Steen. She leaves behind a lot of nieces and nephews who will fondly be missed. The services for the Norton family, for Ruth, it will be Tuesday, April 22nd, from 4 to 7 p.m. over at the Cohane Funeral Home, and then a celebration of life will take place at the funeral home on 9:15 a.m. on Wednesday, April 3rd, followed by a funeral mass at the Holy Trinity Parish of Our Lady Good Counsel Church in Quincy at 10 a.m. Please keep your thoughts and prayers to the Norton family, very good family in the city of Quincy. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one that I've just remembered that I can't forget. Is Mary Ann Mahoney, Ward 6 resident, very active in the Democratic Party, very active in Ward 6. She was involved in all things down in the Squantum section, and she'll be missed. Just keep the family in your prayers and thoughts. Mary Ann Mahoney. Next item, motion, orders, and resolutions. Being none. Scheduling committee meetings and public hearings. The May and June lineup. Monday, May 5th, 6:30, City Council meeting. Monday, May 19th, 6:30, City Council. June 2nd, 6:30, City Council, and June 16th, City Council meeting. Now, also, as the finance chair, we're getting to that time of the year, so I don't have any dates yet. I'll throw out a few scenarios. This year, I know we're going to be basically level funded, but that's going to fall right into this mix somewhere, so I'll try to get the dates out way ahead of time, and so everybody can be here, and also try to look at a schedule where if we are level funded, to try to do it possibly a little earlier and in one day, if I can stagger the departments correctly on the smaller departments, larger departments, et cetera, which I usually do, to try to make it flow a little easier. With that, motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilor Yang, second by Councilor Bonner. Thank you.